This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Smoke up, gas in the blend. Free up the guys, then dip out the ends. Jump in the ride, then burn out the rims. Don't stop, don't cuts in the block. Levels in the block, really up for events. Skin get close to the button and then with the clips intense. Hands in the back, there's some tap. Ready to go and jump out. Right side and king. Right side. Kicks on the
The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, yes. It does not matter who the host is. It never has and it never will. Today is Tuesday, August the 20th of 2024. A day to remember for sure. Day 233 of the year and only 133 days left to go. We are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
Radio. USA, Canada, UK.
Okay, so let's not lie right away about anything, but let's talk about this. It is episode 1000. Yep, we will get into more of that stuff here in just a moment, but that means that we need to talk about this just for a brief moment. 1,000 times have you and I, if you've been here since day one, we have hung out together and done something along these lines in regards of us hanging out, talking, and doing the things that we get to do. Yeah, I mean, think about this. 1,000 times. Most podcasts, and I know that we were a radio show and are a radio show, and then went into some streaming, and then went into podcasting and, you know, the radio stuff and all that. Most podcasts only make it to 13th episodes, and we've made it 1,000. 1,000, which is crazy. I mean, it's one of those things that I would have never thought that I would have sat here 1,000 times. That's not even putting into the count the other stuff that we get to do in this network, but 1,000 times. It's kind of crazy when I kind of sit back and think about it. The amount of news stories that you and I have discussed together, the amount of stuff that we've done over that 1,000 episodes. It's kind of interesting. And I'm going to tell you, there was a lot of thought process of sitting back today and, you know, and doing our greatest hits and, you know, remembering the moments and all that. And I thought about that, you know, and I talked to several people, and there were some people that wanted to come on and talk about, you know, congratulate me. And that's never been the bullshit that we've been about. That has never been our show. Our show has always been pretty consistent with some stuff here. It's been the news, the commentary with the news, and giving it to you in real time on what it is. opposed to giving any kind of crap that's not true. We've always retracted anything that does not seem to be in tune with reality because it's not what we do. So I said, opposed to it being the glitz and glam because of a number, which not another thing that I'm really into. Let's do what we do. Let's do our standard show. Let's do our normal show. We can congratulate each other later on. I mean, we can do all that stuff later on. Let's talk about what's going on in real time of the things that are happening. I am not a huge fan of sitting back and looking at everything that we did. Let's see what we're going to do in the next 1,000. I mean, I'm pretty sure we won't talk about this again. Not the 1,000th episode, but it's like, what is the next mile marker? Wouldn't it be like 5,000 and stuff like that? But, you know, it's just one of those things that, yes, it was 1,000. So it is going from 3 digits to 4 digits. So that was kind of a cool thing. But that's it. Our show is Safety in the News, News and Safety. We bring in professional broadcasters that will talk about what the hell's going on. At one point, I thought we sounded way too similar to other stuff that was out there. And I said, let's get rid of that. And so now here we are again. And remember, this all started a long time ago because you and I sat back and said, there is a lot of bullshit that's out there that is not real. It's not how people speak. It is glitz and glam. It is we'll say that it was glitz and glam because they're still not pretty out there. And they wanted to give you corporate safety. And you and I both said, we are not doing corporate safety. We are talking about how workers are doing the work out there, and let's talk about those pain points. Shit, I remember one of the most popular episodes to this date was somebody recording an OnlyFans inside of a library in Sacramento, and how they had to go back and try to fix some of the safety issues that were related there. So yeah, we are definitely not the beaten path. There has been a lot of shows that have come out after our show and have tried to imitate the things that we do. And that's okay. Not a problem. I mean, people need to do whatever they think that is best. But you and I did something here that has hit the market and that has changed the way that people look at stuff. And that's good because that was the whole point all along, is to have conversations. And I know we're going monologue apparently this morning. And that's not the point. The point is to get into what's important. And that's our conversations in regards of you and I interacting. So, same thing. If you want to interact with the show, callinradio.com will get you there. The other portion, as we are talking this morning, why change up what's going on? We will add stuff. We will do some stuff. But we're going to talk like we normally do. And you're going to tell me if there's something you don't like. You're going to tell me if there's something you love. You're going to tell me if there's something that you hate. And then we're going to go, okay, these are the things that we need to do better. Better. Because that's always been the game. You and I hanging out, doing our thing. So with that being said, why don't we do this? Why don't we start getting into what in the hell is trending? Because that's going to be important.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so as I look at the trends of the end, the iconic American manufacturer guts its DEI program, and a majoral candidate chooses the unique governing strategy. We'll talk about that as we get into the shit list. Also, Taylor Swift meets with Southport stabbing victims, and Harvey Weinstein will stay put for now. Also, Millie Bobby Brown has a new project in the works, and Brian Cox thinks superhero movies have become diluted. Yes, diluted. And another celeb, no, that's not important. And Prince Andrews will venture into the Windsor Estate with his family this summer, according to the details that we'll talk about in the Royals. So there you go. Let's do this. Episode 1000, you and I hanging out. We're about to get into the verge of the news because we've been hanging out with feature story news for a long-ass period of time. And why change that? They're here. We're here. You're here. We're almost 10 minutes in, so you know we're already behind schedule. So this is going to make us for a mega Friday. Let's take a listen to what the hell's going on inside of the world of the news. Because I think, therefore I am. I'm not your friend. No. Oh, no. Let's get into the news.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Nina Maria Potts with the latest world news. A fresh search is underway for 6 people missing following the sinking of a super yacht on Monday morning off the coast of Sicily. UK tycoon Mike Lynch and his daughter are among the missing. Specialist Italian divers are searching the site of the capsized yacht, the British-flagged Baizen, which had 22 people aboard, including crew, when it sank. Mike Lynch's wife, Angela Baccaris, was among the 15 people rescued. The yacht was registered under her name. Morgan Stanley International Bank Chairman Jonathan Bloomer and Clifford Chance lawyer Chris Morvillo are also missing. A first search of the wreck surface failed. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is travelling to Egypt and Qatar as he continues ceasefire mediation talks, saying on Monday that Israel had accepted a bridging proposal. The proposal is to bridge differences, propping up a ceasefire and hostage release deal in Gaza. Antony Blinken called on Hamas to do the same, without saying whether their demands had been addressed. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he's seeking to free a maximum number of living hostages held in Gaza in the first stage of a proposed ceasefire deal with Hamas. US President Joe Biden has urged Americans to vote for freedom and democracy in this year's election as he passed the torch to his vice president in a rousing late-night address. Speaking at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, Mr. Biden touted his achievements in office and praised the party's new nominee, Kamala Harris. Benji Hire reports.
And America, I love you.
This was an emotional moment. President Biden, teary-eyed, walked onto the stage to a deafening roar from the crowd, an almost endless standing ovation, and chants of "We love you, thank you, Joe." Every cheer from Democrats communicating relief as much as reverence, enthusiasm for a political future without him after he stepped aside in the race for the White House just weeks ago. Biden called his predecessor and Republican candidate Donald Trump a loser, a liar, a man who's not worthy of being commander-in-chief, who puts himself first and America last. Kamala Harris thanked Joe Biden for his lifetime of service, but told the convention that the nation is moving forward with optimism and hope.
The Indian government has agreed to beef up security at state-run hospitals as protesting doctors demand a safer workplace. Tens of thousands have taken to the streets in the past 2 weeks after the brutal rape and murder of a trainee medic in India's Kolkata. China and the Philippines are trading accusations after several Coast Guard vessels collided in a disputed part of the South China Sea. Beijing says the actions taken by Manila were deliberate, while Philippines officials accuse the Chinese Coast Guard of acting recklessly. From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. This week covering the Democratic Convention in Chicago, and today the voices of protesters who are taking to the streets here, insisting that the Democrats need to change direction over the crisis in Gaza.
Finally, the day is here, and the entire world is watching.
Thousands of demonstrators are threatening to encircle the convention all week long, insisting the party's platform, its manifesto, needs to be rewritten, and that Kamala Harris needs to explain how she plans to distinguish her policy towards the Middle East from the policies espoused by her current boss, President Biden.
There's a horrific genocide of Palestinians taking place that's being aided by the Democratic Party leadership and its representatives, Genocide Joe, Killer Kamala Harris, and Baby Killer Blinken.
We want to see the genocide end in Palestine, and we want to see the Democrats support an end to the genocide in Palestine.
The security perimeter surrounding this convention may not save Kamala Harris and other Democratic Party leaders from criticism that may be leveled against them within the convention itself. Progressive left-leaning Democrats are among those calling for the party's platform, drafted in support of President Biden, to be rewritten now that Kamala Harris has become the Democrats' standard-bearer this November. The platform's 2 pages on the Middle East currently make not a single mention of the vice president, who has said she will not be silent in the face of the mounting civilian horrors in Gaza. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
And a reminder now of the hour's top story. A fresh search is underway for 6 people missing following the sinking of a super yacht on Monday morning off the coast of Sicily. UK tycoon Mike Lynch and his daughter are among the missing. And that's the latest world news from Feature Story News. I'm Nina Maria Potts reporting.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Well, you know that here at Safety FM and Radio Big, we're always trying to look for life hacks. So with the busy season just around the corner, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for your jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kits, can help you fuel up with fast chef prepared, dietitian approved, and ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. Refresh your healthy habits without missing a beat. Choose from 34 weekly flavored packs. Dietitian approved meals ready to eat in 2 minutes. All you need to do is head over to factorsmeals.com/safetyfm50 and use code safetyfm50 to get 50% off. That's code safetyfm50 at factormeals.com/safetyfm50 to get 50% off. Go there. Do it now.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
Hey there, this is Jay Allen from Safety FM, where we just don't talk about safety, we live it. And when it comes to safeguarding your future, there's no better partner than Acorn. This part of the show has been brought to you by Acorns and a powerful tool that makes saving and investing easier than ever. We all know that investing can feel overwhelming, especially with busy lives and no time to dive into the nitty-gritty of financial markets, but Acorns changes the game. With Acorn, you don't need to be a financial expert or have a hefty sum of money to get started. In fact, Acorns lets you begin with just your spare change. It's all about those small steps, small investments today that can build into something much bigger over time. Acorn recommends an expert-built portfolio designed to fit your financial goals, and then it does the heavy lifting for you by automatically investing your money. It's like having a financial advisor in your pocket working around the clock to help your money grow. So why wait? Head over to acorns.com/safetyfm or download the Acorn app and take that first step towards securing your future today. Remember, in the world of safety and investing, small actions today can lead to mighty outcomes tomorrow. A non-client endorsement. Compensation provides an incentive to positively promote Acorns. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors, LLC, and SEC registered investment advisors. View important disclosures at acorn.com/safetyfm. At Safety FM, we're all about making smart decisions on the job and in life. So take control of your financial future. This is Jay Allen reminding you to stay safe, stay smart, and invest in your tomorrow.
Is your safety old, stale, and hacky? Safety trainers still training and warped version. How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Polzel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
I know you all want to hit your revenue targets and get the launch done. Well, making sure that your team knows what to do and how to do it is a huge part of it. So I'm sure that you all do different kinds of training, and I'm willing to bet that you probably use PowerPoint, Zoom, etc. I also bet that when you get someone droning on about a topic using these tools, you probably zone out. And your team does too. I mean, it is a reality of what happens. That's why I strongly recommend a tool called Articulate 360. That makes it so easy to whip together interactive, really beautiful e-learnings that really engages people and gets info across. You can create short-form micro-learning, super interactive courses, and really whatever you need when you're in their site. Then with a couple of clicks, you can send it out and check on it and see the progress of your team. Your team can also check back on the training anytime they want in a super simple portal. Literally everyone uses Articulate. Over 120,000 companies and all 100 Fortune 100 companies. Check it out at articulate.com/360 to start a free trial. That's articulate.com/360 to start your free trial. And don't forget to tell them that I was the one that sent you there.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show.
Self-implode on our airwaves. Only on Safety FM.
Only on Safety FM. So there you go. 20 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Tuesday. So let's go ahead and get into it because it's time to do so. So let's get into the shit list. In September of 2022, an Atlanta man, Fernando Cluster, entered Emory University Hospital to treat an intrabacterial hemorrhage, bleeding in the brain. Then the emergency surgery that followed, doctors removed, 12 by 15 centimeter piece of his skull with plans to put it back on the following up procedure in a few weeks later. Ready? When time came to follow up, the hospital said, it lost a chunk of the dude's skull. As a result, the cluster needed to be a synthetic replacement and endured an even longer recovery after the infection, after an infection that required yet another surgery. So, because they had to put something else inside of there. Of course, the hospital billed him for the synthetic skull flap, and the additionally time spent for the recovery. The cluster was also out of work. Says that he endured permanent injury. He and his wife are now suing the hospital for unspecified damages, but the suit seeks both general and special compensation. True to form, the hospital says it doesn't comment on pending litigation. This is according to NBC News. So think about this for a moment. All of a sudden, you have to have a surgery where they're cutting off part of your skull. They have to actually hold the piece of the skull as you're recovering. Then when they're going to go install the piece of the skull, they come to the realization that they've lost the skull, the part of the skull that they cut out. So they have to put something else, and then they bill you for it. How does that work? I mean, I want to have just a better understanding. So I don't know. It gets weird quick. And I mean, and there's pictures online of the dude that's missing the part of his skull or when he was going through that process. So it gets very strange on how it occurs. Like, think about it real quick. I don't know when was the last time you had surgery. I can envision mine. And the interesting part is, it's interesting on how they ask you through the whole process of, what are you having done? What kind of surgery are you having? Blah, 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 blah. I mean, like, these are all kind of weird questions. Like, I remember seeing stuff like, I remember having a partial knee surgery many, many, many years ago. And them marking up the leg that it was, like, just in case if, I guess they were going to go other leg. Imagine getting any kind of other thing surgery done, and you only have one of those things. How does that work? Do they mark that up too?
More sarcasm with an Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R. Safety Show.
Okay, a man running for mayor of Cheyenne, Wyoming, has pledged to be an artificial intelligence program govern the city if he wins this November's election. Victor Miller is a librarian with a self-described obsession with AI, so much that he has programmed a bot nicknamed Vic to run the city. That's an acronym for Virtual Integrated Citizen. Miller demonstrated the technology at the campaign event, and citizens in the media asked questions through a microphone at the chat box, responded in real time. When voters cast a ballot in November, Miller's name will be listed only as Vic. And he promises to press the flesh. Hold on. He promises to press the flesh if elected, attending events and meetings for voters, but will leave all the decision-making to the software, which he'd update based on talking points with the thing. This is according to the Washington Post. So there you go. Worth noting, sci-fi statistical comedy series Avenue 5 on HBO featured an AI president in the second season of the show, but was regrettably canceled. It's a fun watch if you need something new for the queue. So there you go. Think about that real quick. How interesting would that be where you would go, okay, I am going to run for mayor of this town. And as I run for the mayor of this town, I am going to, in turn, let a piece of software make all the selections of what needs to happen. Now, I'll tell you, I watched the Terminator movies over the weekend. I'm not going to lie here. So, Cyberdyne and Skynet are kind of real to me in my brain currently. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be the best choice, but I guess you do what you want to do. Seriously.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, company that creates motorcycles known as Harley Davidson issued a statement on Monday backtracking the diversity, equality, and inclusion policies that it had implemented in the recent years. The company says it will not consider race or other demographic factors in hiring and will instead retain the best talent and ensure that all employees feel welcome. It also noted the company has ended its DEI hiring as of April of this year. In a further step, HD says that it's reviewing all sponsorships and affiliations, likely suggesting that it will not take any active role in the LGBTQ related events. Finally, Harley-Davidson says employee training will be absent of socially motivated content. The company joins other manufacturing companies like Tractor Supply and John Deere in making similar adjustments in the recent months. So what do you think about this? Now, I will tell you, because, I found out this information yesterday, but Jim Bolzel and Sheldon Primus will have some episodes coming out, if they've already have not been released, talking about DEI and things along those lines. So maybe it's something that you might want to take a dive into. Now, I will tell you, if you do listen to Safety FM with Jay Allen, that will come out at noon Eastern time today, I have Jim Bolzel on there. And he's going to talk a little bit about DEI. So if you want to take a little dive inside of there, you're more than welcome on doing that. So that comes out today as well. So what do you think about this stuff? What do you think about the DEI process, number one? And number two, is John Deere, Harley-Davidson, and Tractor Supply doing the right thing? Or is it the wrong way to look at it? It's just a question. Think about it as you move forward. Anyways, following last year's muddy debacle at the Black Rock City, Nevada, organizers for this year's Burning Man are struggling to sell tickets. The event kicks off next week, but general admission tickets remain on sale for the event that typically is quite exclusive. Making the first time since 2011, it hasn't sold out well before opening day. In 2022, attendees battled unreasonable hot temperatures. Last year's attendees waited days in some cases to leave after rainstorms made the roads impassable. This is according to CBS News. So what do you think here? I mean, people remember this stuff. It's not like it goes away. So, I mean, if you go to an event and the event is so-so, you're not going to probably do too well the following year. What you normally want to see, and I'm going to tell you this because I've been to several events. I've ran a few events, and here's the motivator. You want to be able to sell the second year more tickets than you did the first year. Not from a money grab standpoint, but you're looking at it from the standpoint of what is word of mouth of what the hell's going on out there.
Duh.
So that's the stuff to think about. So if you're all of a sudden having some issues because people are saying, okay, well, we have these problems, and these problems. Okay, you need to fix these problems. Like, you keep on talking about these fire events that's going to take place. That's FYRE, just in case. Do you remember, like, this was supposed to be like an all-exclusive island type thing, and people, there was documentaries made about it because it was so bad? I don't even know how they're having an event number two, especially after the guy that was the organizer got arrested the first time around. So I don't know. It gets pretty interesting when you think about it.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Vera Liddell, the former Illinois school cafeteria employee who stole, $1.5 million worth of chicken wings. Yeah, $1.5 million worth of chicken wings, says that she did it to fund her gambling addiction. She's just a little sweetheart that's got a gambling problem, her attorney told people. She feels beyond terrible about this. It was a disease taking over. Earlier this month, Liddell pled guilty to one count of felony theft of more than $1 million and was sentenced to 9 years in prison. Meanwhile, Kansas City Chief defensive tackle Chris Jones has offered to cover the cost of the chicken wings and will hope that it will free Liddell. The status of the offer is currently unknown. This is according to People. So let's talk about this. You got Chris Jones, we'll call him CJ here, jumping in, trying to help out, and saying that, hey, I'm going to cover the price of the chicken wings to do this. And of course, they're going to say, people are going to say on the road here that if somebody else covers the cost, what did she learn? That's going to be the first thing. Then the next thing to think about is, okay, who exactly gets the $1 million? And how in the hell did somebody notice that there was $1.5 million worth of chicken wings missing. Because that's interesting. I mean, you know how many chicken wings that has to be? Unless they're like some kind of exclusive chicken wings, because there's no other way around it. Just think about it real quick. Just saying. So here's some sad news to share. And if you listen to talk shows for a long period of time or watch talk shows, you know that this is going to be one of these things that people are not going to love. But we'll talk about it for a moment. We'll take a look into this for a brief moment in time. Legendary talk show host Phil Donahue has died. He passed away on Sunday night following a long illness, according to the family. Donahue is remembered for his self-titled talk show, which premiered in 1967. And are you ready for this? It ran for 29 years. 29 years. He was 88 at the time of his passing. 29 years. I mean, I can't even imagine doing anything for that long. But that is a talk show that he hosted, you know, day in and day out, doing the stuff right there. So there's something to think about as we are talking. So take a listen to this. Actress Danielle Fishel revealed on Monday of the Pod Meets World podcast that she has been diagnosed with breast cancer, specifically ductal. It's called DCIS. Fishel explained that it was caught early in technically stage 0. She will undergo surgery to remove it in some of the follow-up treatments, but otherwise she should be okay, is what the reference is. So, worth noting, breastcancer.org explains that DCIS isn't life-threatening, but those who are diagnosed with it have a higher risk of developing invasive breast cancer later on in life. So that's something to think about as we are talking. So there you go. Also, in some other news, let's take a look at what the hell happened with the Dow. The Dow increased by 236 points to close at 40,896 on Monday, and the S&P gained about 54 points to close at 5,608, and the Nasdaq increased by 245 points to close at 17,876. West Texas Intermediate closed at $74 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $77 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.41 on Monday, and Bitcoin ticked up, trading just around 59,110. There was more than 5,225 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Monday, and about 840 such cancellations. Tonight's Mega Million drawing will be for $498 million jackpot, or a $245.3 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, there is definitely time to do so. So think about that as we are talking. In some other news, I want to reference this real quick. Taylor Swift met with two of the young fans who were part of the Southport stabbing ahead of one of her shows in London. A mom of one of the girls shared a photo of Swift embracing the fans who witnessed a 17-year-old attack fellow attendees at a Taylor Swift-themed dance class last month. 3 little girls died and 8 people were injured. It is unknown from the tragic incident. Also attended one of Swift's concerts, though it was previously reported that she personally reached out to the families. This is according to Rolling Stones. So there you go. So let's do this. I know that it is main news story time, or not main story time. All right, let's just do the main story because that's going to be important.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's be realistic. We are running behind in time because that's just what we do around here. I mean, no doubt about that. So let's talk for a moment. Let's take a look. Let's take a gander. Let's talk about this real quick. And this will be the last time we talk about this because I think it's important. And we briefly touched on this earlier in the show, so we'll talk about this very briefly right now, and then we'll get over it and move on. So we are at the 1,000th episode of this show. Not 101 or 1,001, not anything else, not 999. We are at episode 1,000. Now, I look back at this, and I remember the idea of sitting on my couch in my house and talking about the creation of what would be known later on as Safety FM. And I remember talking about how some of these shows would be plugged in and how they would go across the network. And there was this real big empty void of shows and things that needed to take place. And I knew that there was a gap. Well, I didn't know at the time that this would be called the Rated R Safety Show. But I knew that there was a gap there, that we were missing a huge component of what needed to happen inside of the industry. You guys told me, and you ladies told me, that this is what we were missing. And it was somewhere tied in between news stories and safety stories and things that were going on inside of the industry. And I looked back then, and I tried to get everybody and their brother to do this show. I was like, I'm not the person for this. This is not what I'm looking for in regards to trajectory of what I want to do with my career, because I thought that was going to be important. That what I'm looking to do. What I'm looking to do is have somebody else come in, and I couldn't find anyone. The idea was there. A lot of people were, we'll say, afraid. There was a level of restriction of what they thought would end up happening to their career as a safety professional if this show was part of their thing. And I remember I said, okay, screw it. I will do it. And I remember at the very beginning of this whole mess, it was like, let's do a slight voice change and, hype it up a little bit and change, who I am. Because I don't really want people to know. We will never mention me by name and all this other stuff. And I kind of look back now and I chuckle because that was not the way to do this. And, you and I interacted, but we didn't hit the mark. We kind of looked at things and said, okay, there's something missing. And it was the component of the host not being real, which in this place, I would get to play the host. But this has always been dictated by what you've told me, by how you wanted this to work, on how you wanted this to look. So here's what I'm going to say. If little me, was able to do this because of you, I will tell you that creations can be made and you can move forward and change the trajectory of what you're doing inside of your career. You can change the way that people might look at stuff by doing what you think is important. If you're sitting out there today and go, I've always wanted to write a book, start writing a book. I'm going to tell you that when you start the book, it's not probably going to be the beginning of the book. It's probably not going to be the ending of the book. You're probably going to start somewhere off in the middle because the books don't ever make a sequence on how you're making them. You probably start writing it and you go, okay, this is what I would like to say. And then you'll realize, well, I need to add this and add that and add the other. That's how that's going to work. Keep in mind that the way that a lot of this stuff has worked in regards to what we have done at Safety FM and including this 1,000th episode of this thing was because we have pieced together information and done different things and said, let's tie this all together. Tell me that 4 or 5 years ago, I would have thought that today I would be sitting here talking about our 1,000th episode together. No way. Never would have happened. Never would have thought about it. I had some ideas. Never would have thought we would be here. If you would have told me a long time ago that we would be doing video, never would have thought that would have happened either. So here's the thing. Here's my challenge to you. If I, simple me, can do 1,000th episode, if we can do a whole network of radio that relates to safety, you can do anything you want to. The challenge is there for you. You have to make the decision of, do you want to move forward and take the gamble on yourself? And I'm not saying get up and quit your job today. Believe me, I would never tell you that. But you have to do what you think is going to work. We tested the market. We saw what was out there. We saw the podcasts that were out there at the time. We grabbed some of those podcasters and said, hey, let's kind of join and see what we can do. And then we went out there and we looked at new and up-and-comers that didn't have the platform that we had and said, hey, let's kind of see if we can change the way and the trajectory and how some of this looks. We always knew that there was a gap for this show. And because of this, you've decided to tell us what we needed to do. I've always told you from day one that that's the way that it should be. So here we are, 1,000 episodes in. So my challenge for you today is go out there and create something that other people will want, that other people want to hear, that other people want to see. It's already in you. You just need to make up your mind on what you want to do with it. That's the simple thing about this. You create the opportunity. Advance the market. Change it up. Make things work for you. I know. Some people will say overnight success. A lot of work went into this to get to where we're at. Think about that today.
Oops. What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and we're not 100% sure on what they meant. Things is mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobile.io. That's mobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Some of the best things in life come to those who wait, but we ain't waiting for shit. Radio Big.
Okay, here we are. Rated R Safety Show. 45 minutes past the top of the hour. Still hanging and banging here on the 1000th episode. Oh, yes. This right here, MHC. Oh, yes, this is the king. Yeah, this is the king. Okay, so you might want to give this a little stream ream reaction on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music. Yes, there you go. So, there you go, go. So we would like to thank MHC for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. Because you know how it is. It's all about the king. Oh, danger, Will Robertson. Danger. Yeah, you know how that is. Okay, so let's get into it because little time, because, you know, I went long-winded earlier in the morning because that's how it goes around here. So let's do this. Let's talk about the most important thing that I have talked about in my lifetime, and that will not change today because it is the most important thing, and it has to do with my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. So, no matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. And To Write Love on Her Arms wants you to know that people have been where you are now and things can get better. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to twloha.com. That's twloha.com. That's To Write Love on Her Arms. Okay? So once you get into this, I want you to be 100% aware that there's information right there related to addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, self-injury, suicide, trauma, grief support. That's just to name a few. I always say this. It might not be something that you need now, but it could be something that you need later. It also could be something that you don't need at all, and it could be something that somebody else might need. It's always good to know this information just in case. So, to find out more, twloha.com/find-help. Or just click on the section that says Find Help on the far right-hand side of the website. twloha.com. To Write Love on Her Arms. So, there you go. Let's get into some moves and grooves of some other things that are going on inside of our interplanetary system here, because that's what we need to do. So, taking a look around, as I look, let's see, I knew that driving would eventually come to this, cars talking to one another, and drivers with not much to do, except, well, play with their phones. The U.S. Department of Transportation has laid out a road safety plan that will lead to cars communicating with each other. Vehicle to everything, V2X technology enables vehicles to stay in touch with each other, as well as pedestrians, cyclists, and other road users and roadside infrastructure. It lets them share information such as their position, speed, as well as road conditions. They'd be able to do this in a situation with poor visibility, such as around corners and a dense fog. A countrywide rollout would require systems of mobile, in-vehicle, and roadside tech that can communicate efficiently with securely while protecting people's personal information. Safety advocates claim that the tech could prevent hundreds of thousands of crashes and minimize the severity of collisions by reducing the speed of impact. It is hoped to give the system fully deployed across the national highway systems. Are you ready by this? By 2036. So we are talking about 12-year future tech. We're not talking Minority Report yet with Tom Cruise, Philip K. Dick, of course, and a Steven Spielberg movie. So do you think that this new system would even make cars use their turn signals? I'm just saying, because it wouldn't be important. And too crazy, right, for some? And I'm not sure we need this. I find that whenever I get too close to another vehicle, I'm communicated quite effectively. So there you go. So I don't know. I mean, it is one of those things that I take a look at this and go, man, it gets interesting. So, you hear about weight loss drugs all the time. So let's talk about this for a moment. Forget Ozempic, Wegovy, and all those other weight loss drugs that are so 2022. But South Korean scientists are working on a way of zapping your brain to suppress your appetite. The futuristic method of weight management is known as transcranial random noise simulation. Yeah, or stimulation in this case, involves delivering gentle electrical currents to specific areas of your brain and scalp, which researchers believe that can influence the neural circuits responsible for appetite control. The white coats theorize that the electrical stimulation may enhance the brain's natural ability to resist cravings and make more mindful food choices. They listen to giving, your willpower a little boost of from the outside, although more testing is needed. The electrostimulation treatment equipment is commercialized, and scientists say that the units could be used at a home rather than the hospitals, providing a simple method for daily appetite suppression management with little to no side effects. Zapping your brain at home. Think about that for a moment. By yourself. I'm pretty sure that supervillains' origin stories might start right there, because that's what it sounds like to me. And can I already get the same effect at home with stuff that I'm already on hand by like standing naked in front of the mirror? I mean, that would probably be a brain zapper by itself if you kind of think about it.
It's this show, and they just make fun of a whole bunch of people. It's just too funny. It's too stupid.
Rated R Safety Show.
Does that mean you disagree with my theory? I mean, what else would you need as a brain zapper? I mean, I think that would do it. I'm just throwing that out there. Let's talk about, did you know Coca-Cola is consumed almost everywhere, but not where it is more popular than Mexican state of Chiapas, where the average person drinks about 821.2 liters. That's 217 gallons of the other stuff per year, about 32 times the global average. The people in Chiapas consume about 2.2 liters per day. That makes it the more popular than drinking water. And a little wonder Coca-Cola is sold and advertised almost everywhere in the state, and it's almost as cheap as water. The people should definitely not be eating Mentos, though. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there because that just sounds like a terrible idea for a combination. Anyways, with that being said, let's do this. Let's bring in some John Smalls into our life and let him tell us about what the hell's going on with the Motivation Minute. Do that.
The Motivation Minute, brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com.
The Motivation Minute.
Today's quote was submitted by Ryan. Will Rogers said, "Even if you're on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there." What a witty guy. He was a humorist with some amazing quotes. How about you? Are you on the right track? Are you still moving forward? Like Will said, if you're just sitting there, you'll get run over. I had a client who spent a bunch of money to buy new furnishings for their business. Then they loaded them in the back room. And about 4 years later, they were still in the back room. He spent all that money, but then he didn't take the time to actually do anything with all the stuff. Finally, he hired a new manager, and that manager made a huge first step. He spent his own time on weekends making the updates, and it made a huge difference.
The Motivation Minute.
Today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of GenesisGoldIRA.com. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Hello, I'm Richard Exley with your 1-minute devotion. Bible doctrine, especially what we believe about God, is vitally important. But as Taliki, the great German theologian and pastor, pointed out, it can be undermined by a life characterized by small fibs and other compromises. Maybe this is what James had in mind when he wrote. Isn't it obvious that God talk without God acts is outrageous nonsense? That's James 2:17 from the Message Bible. Lord Jesus, help us to be as conscientious about our behavior as we are about our theology. Empower us to live truly spiritual lives, even as we strive to adhere to pure doctrine. In your holy name we pray. Amen. If these devotions are a blessing and an encouragement to you, you can subscribe at oneminutedevotion.com.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM. Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From FSN in London, I'm Nina Maria-Potts with the latest world headlines. A fresh search is underway for 6 people missing following the sinking of a super yacht on Monday morning off the coast of Sicily. UK tech tycoon Mike Lynch and his daughter among the missing. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is travelling to Egypt and Qatar as he continues ceasefire mediation talks. And US President Joe Biden has urged Americans to vote for freedom and democracy in this year's election as he passed the torch to his vice president in a rousing late-night address.
Here is another bit for our competitors to copy. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so here you go. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date as I take a look around. Let's see. Let's go to 2018. Colorado man Christopher Watts is charged with the murder of his pregnant wife, Shannon Watts, and their 2 daughters, Bella, 4, and Celeste, 3. He was hit with 5 counts of first-degree murder, 3 counts of tampering with the deceased body, and 1 count of unlawful termination of a pregnancy. The charges came a week after Shannon and the girls were reported missing from their home. That happened back in 2018. So there you go. Also, some other things that are going on today. If you're looking at some birthdays, let's talk about this. Demi Lovato turns 32. Andrew Garfield, 41. Ben Barnes turns 43. Corey Sullivan, 45. Amy Adams turns 50. Misha Collins turns 50 as well. David Williams, 53. Fred Durst, from Limp Bizkit fame, turns 54. James Marsters turns 62. Al Roker turns 70. And Robert Plant turned 76. So there you go. That's some birthdays. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, I have some of those. National Bacon Lovers Day. World Mosquito Day. International Day of Medical Transporters. International Hawaiian Day. National Chocolate Pecan Pie Day. And I'm going to tell you this. This is just one of those, serendipity things. But also today is National Day of Radio. It's National Radio Day. That's what's today. That's what today is. So there you go. Before I forget. Anyways, Conklin Conference coming up here. September the 10th through the 12th. Love to see you there. If you want to find out more information, safetyfm.io. It's taking place in Santa Fe, New Mexico. We're going to cover a few days there talking about the world of human and organizational performance. No doubt about that. Would love to see you there hanging out and doing our thing. No doubt about that. So there you go. That's what's going on. Let's talk about some other stuff before I get you out of here because, we're about to go into hour number 2, but we'll give that in just a moment here. So let's take a look at this. If you need a random joke for today, people are still willing to do an honest day work. The problem is that they want a week's pay for it. What else? If you need a phone starter for today, what is this? If you could trade lives with any celeb, who would it be? If you need a question for the water cooler, I have this. About 25% of people eat this food with a spoon. What is it? Mac and cheese, baby. Mac and cheese. Anyways, thanks for hanging out with me on this lovely Tuesday. At the top of the hour, Sheldon Primus will come in on Safety FM and take over and talk about the world of safety consulting. If you hang out with me, I will be going over to Radio Big for the next 2 hours and talking about the world of music and entertainment as we play some music over there. Thank you for hanging out for the 1000th episode with me because there is no way I would have ever made it this far without you. So I really do appreciate it. So there you go. Thanks for hanging out. If I can leave you with something for today, I would love to leave you with this. No legacy is so rich as honesty. Think about that. No legacy is so rich as honesty. That will take you something. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.